Hello, welcome back. It's Friday, June the 17th. You want answers? Well, we want apologies. The Queen of England always wins. Disclaimer, and let's get started. Let's roll back up here to the top, and let's cover what's latest going on in the news. Mike Tindall branded Prince Harry a B at Buckingham Palace Jubilee Party. We know one or two of the words that it could be. Either way, we know that he's frustrated with Harry, and it's not a good name to have. Mike Tindall used an insulting and derogatory phrase to refer to Prince Harry during the Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebrations earlier this month. The remark was made to a fellow guest at a reception following the Platinum Party at the Palace on Saturday, June the 4th. Prince Harry had returned to the UK for the Jubilee celebrations along with his wife Meghan and the couple's two children, we think. Mr. Tindall said on open-air concert featuring performances by the like of Duran Duran, Diversity, Elton John allowed the royals to chat and enjoy a drink together after the show. Of course, Harry and Meghan decided not to go because they were told that they couldn't sit in the royal box, and that's my opinion. He told the Good, the Bad, and the Rugby podcast it was the concert where there was a bit more of a chat together because we went in and had a drink with everyone. So we know how Mike avoided Harry, wouldn't make eye contact with him, and deliberately struck up a conversation with the gentleman next to him when Harry and Meghan came out and were looking to see if their car had arrived. And they couldn't get out of there fast enough because they weren't going to go to the luncheon afterwards because of the booze that they received and also their place of seating. I think the committee that put it together did an incredible job, Mike said. It was following the concert that Mr. Tindall spoke to a fellow guest and referred to the prince's behavior as that. During the Jubilee celebrations, Meghan and Harry just made one official appearance with the rest of the royal family. They attended the service of Thanksgiving held at St. Paul's on June 3rd, but otherwise largely were hidden from the public and the media throughout the celebrations. We learned then that on Friday there was a 15-minute meeting with the Queen and supposedly their children, and it was kept very formal. No picture was taken, at least not by them. Their photographer was denied a chance to take a picture, and if there was an official picture taken, Harry and Meghan will not have access to it. As the rows of royals exited the cathedral following that service, Zara paused then next to the exit with her husband and to talk with those that were leaving the building. Television footage clearly shows them approached by the Duke and Duchess of Sussex with animately chatting with the Queen's granddaughter. And there it was. And Meghan just has the most smug look on her face. Next we have Meghan Markle, Prince Harry title spark removal discussion amid senior royals. Meghan and Harry are still considered much-loved members of the family. However, there has been discussion around the titles recently, according to one royal expert. And that would be Meghan Markle, Prince Harry were reunited with the royal family this month, took a back seat role in the Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebrations. Well, they had no chance, and they're still considered members of the family. Royal expert Neil Sean has claimed that the titles have sparked a removal discussion. Speaking on his YouTube channel, he claimed senior members of the British monarchy are looking and talking openly about the removal of their Sussex titles, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. And it's also being rumored that they will go back and talk with Oprah, although Neil Sean had checked with Harpo Productions a while back, and they had said they had no intention of going back and revisiting the interview, that Oprah did not like to go back and interview the same people, and it was just no plans to do so. So we don't know if that's something that Meghan's putting out, trying to spark fear in the royal family so that the titles won't be taken away. It's also been rumored and alleged that it was requested that Harry put the titles in abeyance and that he had no problem with it, but I think Meghan will hang on to those for dear life. This has really stemmed around the fact that Harry and Meghan seemingly don't want to take part in anything or have any part in British royal life, as Harry famously said, he is now not trapped, that he's free, and while his father and Prince William are. This has taken an active discussion, and it will be done in the usual way. I think that it will be an open discussion with them as to what to do and why their titles remain important to them. And we know that all they have to do, Charles and them could go to members of Parliament and the House of Parliament and Lords and tell them that they no longer think that they deserve them, that they no longer live here, and they do no work. And if they couldn't even attend the events they were invited to attend and asked to attend, then why should they be able to use these? Again, Meghan will hold on to these for dear life. Of course, it'll go into discussion again with the senior members, and then real factor will kick in. And I think after William and Charles have made it clear that they didn't want Andrew to appear at the Order of the Garter, and even though he is a member, then I think they're really concerned about their image, and going forward, they're going to take control of it. There's supposedly a new PR doctor, social media specialist that they have working for them, that they can kick things up a notch, become more relatable, and I think we're going to see them be more open. And I had suggested that after the Jubilee that these things were going to start to happen. Now, whether or not they'll be done during the Queen's remaining life or whether they'll be done after, because I know that they'll be worried about a backlash on her of how she may have been duped by her grandson and his wife. But I do think that things are going to start moving along and that they're going to begin to speak up now that the Platinum Jubilee is over. I think what really happened with a recent return is the fact that they darted off without connecting with much of their family on both sides. Now, again, I think the royal family would have been looking for and at least expecting an apology from Harry and Meghan about the things that they've said, which we know were not true or were exaggerated. And then we saw in the media, and we're going to see it come out more and more because Meghan is in damage control overload because she was embarrassed by the fact that they were relegated to second-tier royals. The bigger picture, when you think about it, just looks stupid that the two ex-royals halfway around the world using the title of Duke and Duchess of Sussex, when clearly it's the one thing that really hurts them the most, being reminded of their former royal life. So, what the two York princesses did at the church. Princess Eugenie and Princess Beatrice stuck to their seats to prevent Harry's photo op. Remember when Harry and Meghan were escorted down the aisle? And I'll show you a picture in a moment where Harry pointed like we're supposed to go in there. But even more so that they were going to not be on the end of the seat. They were going to do everything they could to block them, because if they were on the end of the seat, what would happen? When Charles and Camilla and then Catherine and William came out, we'd see Meghan scurry up behind them and walk out like they were part of the royal procession. And I also thought that it was pretty cool that the royal guards were all around inside the church during that. And that I hope that made Meghan and Harry a bit uneasy to see how well protected that they are. Princess Eugenie and Princess Beatrice stuck to their seats. So they weren't about to move. They were told, I think, beforehand that they had assigned seating. So Eugenie, 32, Beatrice, 33, joined the thousands of people gathered at St. Paul's Cathedral to celebrate the life and reign of her beloved grandmother, the Queen. Earlier this month, the two daughters of Prince Andrew and ex-wife Sarah Fergie Ferguson and their husbands were seated in a row alongside the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Speaking on the latest Mail Plus, Palace Confidential, Mail's diary editor, Richard Eden, discussed the seating arrangements at St. Paul's and how the two princesses didn't move from their seats to avoid an awkward photo opportunity like had been done in previous services. So it says the Palace Confidential's host, Joe Elvin, asked Mr. Eden if he thought that these would have been assigned seats or if the royals would have just been told you're on that row at the event. Mr. Eden said, from what I'm told, there really was assigned seating. Why was it? So Beatrice and Eugenie didn't move. They didn't sort of move down the row and let Harry and Meghan in, and they stuck to their seats. They actually exited so that Harry and Meghan could go in, and we know that Lady Chatto was sitting next to Meghan, and then Harry, and then his cousins. So the royal expert stated that there's been reason that the princesses stayed in their designated seats. So again, this was the day of the service, but it's good to hear other people that have insight that are royal contributors. And Mr. Eden, I think, has his finger on the pulse and is a trusted member of the journalist pool that reports on the royals. And he said, while they left, there was a procession to leave the cathedral. It meant that Harry and Meghan were far behind. They had to wait for everyone else in that row to leave first so that they couldn't be photographed going in behind William and Kate, so that they couldn't get that money shot. Miss Elvin made a point that it was orchestrated. Royal correspondent Victoria Murphy added, I think the seating, I'm sure, was decided in advance. And that she also said recently on GB News, royal author Angela Levin claimed that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex were absolutely furious after that. So remember this incident going back, and this was March of 2020 at the Commonwealth Service, and they were supposedly had a row because Harry and Meghan weren't walking in with William and Kate. William and Kate were going in behind the Queen and behind Charles and Camilla. Well, Harry just had a fit. So William and Catherine, to keep the peace, said, we'll walk in with them. And that's what they did. So I know that it was hard for them to even look over at him. And here's Meghan with that Cheshire grin, and she's looking ahead, looking at William, and Harry's looking at her like, what are you doing? And she kept looking up at the camera. But what happened was, and you can see it here, but they cut it off. So
Duchess of Cornwall,
Camilla and Charles, William and Catherine, and you don't see it, but just off camera, Meghan scoots between the red chairs that the royals are seated in so that she can jump up in front of Sophie and Edward. That just bothered me so much. So again, you can see them all there, and then William and Catherine follow in. Meghan comes through the chairs so that she can make sure, as Sophie and Edward are right here at this end, that they don't get in front of them. You could tell. So this is what they were avoiding them from being able to jump in line with them like they were still working royals. So other news, Thomas Markle, Carl Larson, the past partners on YouTube, Remarkable Friendship, and I told you my feelings about them, that I was just not trusting either one of them. Thomas Markle said he never planned to see his estranged daughter, Meghan Markle, and Prince Harry in the UK. Well, of course he didn't plan it because they wouldn't see him. So speaking to the Insider after the Jubilee, Larson said he attended several events, including Trooping the Color with his wife and his son. Larson said that Thomas had not shared with him what his plans would have been had he well enough to visit London. He said he didn't believe Thomas would have reconciled with Meghan, who hasn't even spoken to him since the wedding. So still, he has not heard from his daughter, Meghan Markle. So no cause for concern, even though he's had a serious stroke and supposedly was left with the inability to speak and care for himself. Thomas told the Insider that he has severed his relationship now with Larson since recording their last YouTube episode. And speaking to Insider over the phone, Thomas's son. So this is what I'm thinking, that it was Thomas Markle Jr., said that he was unhappy with Larson for speaking on his father's behalf. Thomas said in the YouTube video published on May 21st that he had arranged his visit to London before the Sussexes announced that they would attend. And I had reached out to both Carl and asked him if he or Thomas Markle Jr. took the picture of Mr. Markle, as there was a video and photos taken when he was on a gurney being taken to the hospital or arriving there. I heard back from Thomas's son, and he said absolutely not. Mr. Larson, I asked him if he had a comment. I wanted to set the record straight. He did not want to comment. So Moving on, Thomas Markle's former YouTube partner. Now, this all happened. That was at 5:01 a.m. that Carl's speaking out, and it's 4:29 p.m. Let's see, on the 15th. So Carl Lawson spoke out, and then no, excuse me, Mr. Markle spoke on the 15th in the afternoon, and at 5 a.m. on the following day, on the 16th, Carl Larson spoke out and said he had to edit out inappropriate things that Meghan's dad said about the royals. And we know that he called Harry an idiot. He kept saying all these other things, but he didn't about his own daughter. But did he really want to reunite with her? Because he knows that even making the video, she was not going to give him the opportunity to talk with her. He spoke to the Insider about what it was like to work with the Duchess of Sussex's father. Said Larson told Insider that he attended the Jubilee with his wife and son, had plans to upload videos about the experience to YouTube. Following Larson's interview with the Insider, Thomas told Insider that he had severed his relationship since recording the most recent episode, but it goes on to say Thomas Markle Jr. said that he was unhappy with him, but in the top it says Thomas told Insider. So was that Thomas Sr. or Thomas Jr.? So, now is Thomas Jr. speaking for his father, saying that he has nothing more to do with Larson? And what was the reason for their falling out? I'd be curious to know. But unlike other interviews Thomas has given in the past, Larson said YouTube channel allowed him to edit things out that he regret saying. When he does interviews on networks, whether it's Piers Morgan, Dan Wooten, they're always drilling him for questions, and he feels like he must always answer them, Larson says. And then he said he's got no filter. There are things, seems like he's very reserved to me. There are things that are only said on my channel that I think are inappropriate that I cut out. So Larson saying he had to edit what Mr. Markle said. But I don't know. It seems like he's pretty careful. But people like Dan Wooten, he's not going to cut out. Oh, Harry as an idiot. We got to keep that, Larson said, referencing a UK-based journalist, and we know Dan Wooten did. Dan was on about the publicity. I wrote him a long email as soon as I found out that they were sponsoring Mr. Markle's trip, saying I thought that it was in poor taste that he would do anything for ratings to try to upstage the Queen during the Platinum Jubilee or to try to set up any other visits so that, of course, knowing it would make headlines. So that really bothers me about Dan Wooten. My bombshell interview with Thomas that he put on Twitter, where he blasted Prince Harry as an idiot and said he didn't believe his daughter Meghan's suicide claims. Said, I can't wait to welcome Thomas to the UK next month. Thomas Markle blasts those, and this just goes on to talk about what he said, and agrees with Donald Trump that his son-in-law is whipped by his wife, Meghan, as he vows to visit the UK for the Jubilee celebrations. Larson, and this is new news, Larson, his partner, told Insider that he is in the process of co-writing a memoir. Don't judge a book by its cover. My story with Thomas Markle. So, does Carl Larson actually know stuff that Meghan's done? Do you think Mr. Markle opened up with Carl and has revealed information to him that Carl will be able to put in this book? I don't know. But I know when he was on the live chat with Drop Bear that Sadie came on, he did say, I know everything. So we'll see if he comes out with the book and if he really does know everything. The book, which is being co-written by Timothy Reinhardt, will tell the story of Larson's career as a celebrity photographer, as well as his relationship with Thomas, according to Larson, who says that he is vetting possible publishers. But they all want to make a book on that, don't they? Just can't get enough. So now let's go to Paul Burrow for a moment. And you'll remember he was Princess Diana's butler for many years. So since her death in 1997, he was featured regularly in the media in connection with her. Having spent a lot of time by her side, he knows what went on behind closed doors. And there he is when he was younger. And it says Burrell's service to the royal family began when he was just 18. Initially, he worked as a regular footman at Buckingham Palace, and just 1 year later, he became the Queen's personal footman. And do you know how he did that? I watched a documentary once, and he said that when he had made an impression on Queen Elizabeth, and that she called him in once and asked him if he wanted to walk her corgis, and he said yes, and he put little sausages in the lining of his coat pocket, and they came running right up to him, and he fed them sausages outside, and that's how he won them over. So the Queen thought the dogs liked them. But of course, we remember Harry saying that the corgis like Meghan too, so I guess that doesn't say much. But a few things that I did learn about Paul is, and so after he worked for Her Majesty, he ended up going to work for Diana and Charles and Highgrove House in Gloucestershire, serving as Diana's butler for 10 years until his untimely death, or until her untimely death in 1997. He claims that his role made him very close to the boss and has even referred to himself as the only man that Diana ever trusted. I think that's saying a little bit much, Paul. I'm pretty sure Diana trusted other people, because if you'll remember, she must have not have trusted you too much, because the night when she gave the BBC panoramic interview with Martin Bashir, I watched in a documentary, and I had read separately a few years back that Diana had given you the afternoon off and told you to go and spend it with your family. So she didn't trust you enough to tell you that she was doing the Martin Bashir interview, did she? And when you came back the next day, pieces of the furniture were still a little bit out of place. And when you asked her, Mr. Burrell, what had gone on, then you found out what had happened, that she'd given an interview, but she didn't let you know ahead of time. So, Queen to the rescue. And you may have heard that he was accused of taking things that belonged to Diana and the royal family, and he was in the tabloid headlines. And one was back in 2001 when he had his house searched by police following theft allegations. Now, this thing went on and took me like 30 minutes to read, so I'm just breaking it down and giving you a small recap. There were reports that Burrell had stolen several items belonging to either Diana or ex-husband Charles or their eldest son, Prince William. Following those allegations, it was the Queen herself who came to Burrell's rescue. After she spoke up and defended him, the case was closed. Now, he had actually, right after he got back and she died, he hid some of her things and put it back. And without anyone's permission, that was when he went to William and Harry to ask them if they wanted some things of their mother's that would mean a lot to him. And I think he has taken stuff of hers. So, Burrell's private life, something you may not have known. It's also come under intense scrutiny. He had been married to his wife, Maria, for 32 years. And then, just a year after the split, he walked down the aisle for another second time with his new partner, Graham Cooper. So he is now married to Graham, a man. And I don't know if you knew this, but he also had a little flower shop in London. But I think it was 2019 he sold it because he wanted to travel with his new partner. And he does have a couple of kids. As you can imagine, this came as quite a shock to the public, especially after 32 years of marriage, according to an insider. Sorry about my little dog in the background. Burrell denied that it was true, but in 2020, he revealed it's to OK Magazine. Diana and I never discussed my sexuality at length, but it was a known thing between us. Let's face it. I did great flower arrangements. I chose her outfits, and I gave her advice. He does have a high opinion of himself, much like Meghan. All the clues were there, and she was a clever lady. So what he's saying is he never told her, and he was with his wife, so I don't know if Diana knew, but maybe she did. Maybe she picked up. I always felt like that there were feminine tendencies about him, but I'm shocked to learn this because I did not know this part, and supposedly this had happened several years ago. So he's written books about her. He's went on many shows and has been paid to kind of be a royal contributor. Now, here's what he said about Meghan's marriage to Harry. Ever since he continued to give his opinion on the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, he revealed in an interview in 2019 British documentary Kate vs. Meghan, Princesses at War, in which he described Meghan as a strong and independent woman. He talked about how she had similar qualities to Diana, but he also goes to say that he didn't think her and Diana would gotten along because of that, Diana liked to have things her way, and he said, and so does Meghan. He expressed doubts concerning whether Meghan, coming from such a humble background, again, that's her painting this rags to riches story, would be able to adapt to her new lavish surroundings. Well, Paul, I think you come from a family of coal miners. Nothing wrong with that, but you went to working in Buckingham Palace, advanced to working for the Queen, and then the future King and Queen consort. So, I guess you did pretty well for yourself, too. You're a little bit of a social climber as well. He offered some words of advice concerning how Meghan might be able to best cope with the demands of being a royal. And this is funny because it strikes home to me about what he did putting the sausages in his pocket to win over the Queen's favor so that he could be her personal footman and dog walker. He said, it's a good idea to get close to the most important member of the family. And who did she get close to? The Queen. And who else did she get close to? Prince Charles. So he said he also advised Meghan to remain as close as possible to Harry. And, well, we know that was happening because there was nothing that was going to change that. So give that just a moment. I want to thank you for watching. I hope that you'll like, subscribe, set the notification bell, and leave me your comments. I had a few other stories I was going to put in, but I'm going to stop with this because I think there's some new news coming out, and I want to be able to get the most up-to-date in the next. So I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you have a lovely weekend, everyone.